Hi everyone, today I want to take you through my entire planning process and show you how I actually start my setups. I've heard from many of you that bullet journaling or even drawing is daunting and you have no idea where to start. So I'm hoping that I can offer you some insight to help ease your worries and inspire you to be fearlessly creative to plan your own journals. I haven't created such an informative video like this, especially before the final inking stage where everything is perfect, so let me know your thoughts after you watch this video. So before I begin sketching out my ideas for the month, I spend an insane amount of time trying to work myself into inspiration. And that usually involves writing down ideas in another journal and a lot of researching on Google Images, Instagram, and Pinterest. And if I still feel uninspired or lost, then I normally head to the gym and clear my head so that my ideas can flow freely. You can also do this by doing something you love, but make sure to come back to planning. One of the most important pieces of advice I can give you on finding inspiration is to let it flow. That's always the beauty of it. It is normally unexpected, so don't beat yourself up if you can't think of an idea right away. But be open to everything, and like I said before, just start anywhere. Start planning and start drawing anything. After I have a jumping off point, and I call it a jumping off point because the idea could still change, I start to brainstorm in my sketchbook. This is the place where perfection does not matter and drawing preliminary blobs with eyes are fully welcome. So here are some preliminary sketches of my past setups and journal ideas I've done. When I feel a little more confident, I'll start to plan out my pages in a storyboard where I shrink down each page and the content so that I can see them all in sequence. I normally flip through last month's spread and jot down the sequence first, then I go ahead and jump into sketching out my ideas for the cover page to start this month's spread, using Pinterest as my go-to source for animal photographs. I try to avoid jumping right in and looking at other illustrations because I don't want to copy or be greatly influenced by another artist's work, especially to the point where there is a great resemblance. If that happens, I always feel so guilty and unoriginal, and I don't like that. Now I make it a habit to come up with my own layouts and ideas in order to continue growing my own style. So another tip when you don't know what to draw, look up real photographs of things that you love. It can be a beautiful sunset or a bunny rabbit, and try using that as your jumping off point. And then only after I've developed my own ideas, and if I really need help with layout, then I'll look at illustrations for overall positions and placement. The reef around the bear was a weak point for me. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it, so I looked up florals to help jot some ideas to complete the illustration. Once I liked the cover idea, I quickly sketched that into the storyboard and continued to plan out the rest of the spreads, simply figuring out where things go and working through a few different ideas. Moving on to the actual journal, I then start to sketch in my ideas using a 2B pencil, referencing my storyboard for my layout and image ideas. If you guys also sketch out your ideas, make sure to sketch lightly and use a 2B pencil if you can. The lead is perfect to draw lighter and it also erases pretty well. Now for my mood of the month, which is determined by my actual mood or hopes as I look forward to the month, and that is determined by what's going on or any upcoming goals I want to achieve. I picked emergence this month because I really want to accomplish a lot within the next 31 days, even more so than I did the past few months. And recently I've been in a state of slight disappointment in myself and my abilities. I am making it a goal to conquer that thought, change it, and continue moving forward. Those thoughts, which create those feelings, are normal because we're surrounded by amazingly talented and successful people, and it's human nature to think, I can't, versus seeing their success as proof that you can. And this is where journaling saves me every time, and that's why I love it so much and want to share what I've learned with you. So as I go through these thoughts, I love using the thesaurus to find the best word to convey the emotions I want to achieve. It's plenty of going back and forth between a few different words and then finally choosing one. And in this case, it's the same exact word that I started with. As I continue to sketch out my spreads, which normally take about 2 to 4 hours from beginning to storyboard to completely sketching out my plans in the journal, because I'm creating an actual story through mine, yours may take less time if you're creating a basic one. I want to answer one question that kept coming up on Instagram and on YouTube, and that is, how I overcome my fear of failure and of perfectionism. First of all, I want to say that there is no right or wrong way to bullet journal. Journaling is a personal extension of your thoughts and basically of you. So making sure that it all works for you is all that matters. When I posted my very first bullet journal setup in September of last year, I really thought that I was going to get hateful comments about how different my journal was from the normal, but I received the most loving ones instead. And after a few months, I realized that everybody's journal should be different because we are all different from each other. We're all individuals just sharing a simple love of organizing our own lives in a notebook. So just understanding that thought, I know that my fear of failure and the need to be perfect back then was coming from my own expectations of the reactions of others. And that means that my feelings were out of my control and I was placing that control in the what ifs. But I wanted that control back because I don't want fear of anything to stop me from growing as a person. I want to reach my goals or at least get insanely close. So just like riding a bike or learning something new for the first time, I knew that I just had to fail a few times and disappoint myself in order to stop fearing that fear of the unknown. This might sound funny, but I made time to fail and to not be perfect in my work, just to doodle whatever came to mind, and then I continued to build from that. Basically, accept failure as part of the journey, and better yet, embrace it because it is how you learn to be your best self. To add to that about perfectionism, is there really a perfect in art? Because my perfect can be different than yours, and if by perfect you mean completely aligned with what you visualize, then it's a matter of expectations, which is also a part of the fear of not meeting those expectations, which is again the fear of failure. So my two biggest tips of overcoming these thoughts is to understand them and know where they're coming from, and then to start without reserve and without expectations. Okay, so once I have my spreads all sketched out, I need to sketch out my painting that goes along with the mood of the month in another sketchbook that I use. I wanted the bear to break out of his shell and open up to opportunities. I have him walking along a rocky path with beautiful leaves that seem to defy nature and grow even on a hard surface, following the song of the bird, which represents spring. After I ink and complete the illustration, then I'll have it for reference for the final painting on camera. Next in line is to find quotes that work with the setup, and that all starts with Googling the mood of the month and the word quotes behind it. I love two sites the best, and that is Goodreads and Brainy Quotes. If I can't find a quote I like, then I'll start searching for synonyms of the word, and in this case, growth or rising. I measure out the size I want and then create them to fit in those sizes in Photoshop. When I create my own quote, which I did for this setup, it's just a lot of writing out a few quotes and then hopefully coming up with one that works, all based on how I want to end the story or to sum it up. Now from this cardstock pack I bought at my local craft store, I picked out my blush cardstock and then ripped them to the sizes I need. Not worrying so much about perfectionism here, the imperfections add character. And finally, it's prop picking time. I don't have too many things to choose from, so you'll see some of the same things, but I do have a few flower stems for my wedding that work with the feeling of the spread. I then adjust the layout and make sure that I have enough room to work in my journal on camera, and that's normally it. But this time around, I wanted to create my illustration digitally and change things up for March, which is where I would love to gain more experience, but I was not happy with the direction of it, so the next morning, I had the idea to add more movement in the bear and the entire scene with the bird. I wanted the bear to embody the word emerging in his action, so the idea of him rising out of the water to connect with the chirping bird came to mind. And now, we're ready to shoot. One final piece of advice about this whole creative process of starting a setup and bullet journaling in general is that it's okay to take time to plan before you're ready to jump right into setting up. I really don't know anyone else's planning process, but this is what I have to do to come up with my layouts, and I love it. Throughout each month, I can actually see my work evolve and improve, and I sincerely wish that for all of you. I am so thankful for Audible for sponsoring today's video. They have an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and so much more. You can listen while you're driving, doing chores, or even as you're journaling. I personally love listening to empowering content, especially while I create, because it motivates me to keep making and to keep moving forward. An amazing book that I'm listening to right now is called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She believes that we all have hidden treasures within us and explores why we might not have the courage to find and to live this treasure. She touches upon all of my doubts and fears and explains how we can handle fear alongside of creativity. It is one of my most highly recommended books that is helping me to open my mind to new ideas and to help me live my best life. Audible is offering an exclusive 30-day free trial, so all you need to do is go to www.audible.com/ChristineMayLin or text Christine Maylin to 500-500 to start listening to Big Magic or another book of your choice for free. I'll also have this linked below for you. If you guys want to see any of my work in progress or join me on my life's adventure, come find me on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful and meaningful day. I'll see you next time. Bye!